It really does. Then if staying in the AFC East though, another team that seems absolutely just crushed and can never get anything done since that perfect season, the Miami Dolphins. Now you got Tyreek Hill saying it's time for him to go. He's about to get gray hairs over this season. Tyreek Hill, granted, he hasn't had a 30-plus yard catch since week 1. He's really been struggling, but I mean, that whole Dolphins team has. There's rumors that maybe Mike McDaniel's offense is too good and too complex for just anyone to run it because there's just not enough time in between plays to really get all the things in motion that they want to get in motion. And then the Dolphins also, they are one of those teams that we mentioned this when they lost to Green Bay, that they just have a losing record against good teams. They've never done good against them in this era, the Mike McDaniel's era. They've always sucked against them. They've always sucked in cold weather too. And then looking at this little graph that I found that on Instagram that I low-key love, is the showing your point differential against good and bad teams, and you see Miami, they're a negative 58 against a good team, but a plus 22 against a bad team. They also came out, and I don't think it was the actual team, but there were reports that they got a good legend in Calais Campbell suiting up for them. There's been talks that they would let Calais Campbell walk to free agency and sign with a contender at the end of the year, right before the playoffs, just so he can go ring chase, which I could see him going to Baltimore. I'm pretty sure he's been in Baltimore before, so that would be a match. Just bring him back there. But do you think Miami, they're going to keep downward spiraling? Do you think next year it's going to be more of the same? Like Mike McDaniel and Tua both got massive extensions in the offseason. Do you think this season's more of things to come? When Tua is on the field and they're just going to be that fringe team, or do you think they'll finally right the ship and hit that true playoff perennial team?
I mean, there's got to be some turning point. I mean, if they do actually get rid of Tyreek Hill, they can probably make a pretty decent trade out of it. Maybe get some picks, like some first round maybe out of it, or they can get even other players to fill other holes in their defense or offense or whatever. But I mean, they do have Devon A-Chain still. They have they have Raheem Mostert they can get rid of too for some Mustard. They can get rid of him for some picks, maybe get him at the end of his career. I don't know. They can make a lot of moves in the position they are in, and they could still be a viable team in the seasons to come if Mike McDaniels actually picks it up, puts it together. Because overall, Mike McDaniels, I like him as a coach. He's a young coach. He has shown that he can make a very good offense and make an offense that's productive and actually work with all the tools he has and all the tools he's acquired over the years. But I don't know. I think he can do something with it.
Yeah, the only question about if they were to go out and trade Tyreek Hill is really the fact that Hill has stated kind of on multiple times that this is his last contract. I think, though, his most recent comment was saying he would get one more.
But he does have like 12 kids or something, right?
He does. He needs that money. He needs that child support money to keep coming in. He had baby number 12. But his newest baby is actually with his girlfriend. So maybe that one he won't need to pay child support. So that's only 11 others he's got to pay for.
Only 11 others he has to worry about, I guess.
Yeah, so I feel like he's not going to retire just for that sheer fact. Like, he's going to want keep that money coming in. Because the second he retires, endorsements slowly trickle down to very little. And, like, that football money, I mean, he's making $30 million a year right now. I'm sure, granted, he's having a bad year this year. But if he has just a somewhat of a comeback season, that money's going to shoot right back up. And he'll be in line for another $30 million deal because other contracts just keep on going up. So I wouldn't be surprised if he could get another $30 million deal.
Yeah.
For multiple years. But I agree. I think it's weird. They're kind of in a spot where it's like they either are going to take that next step and really become that playoff team, or they're going to completely fall off. Now, some could say, oh, well, that was this year. They completely fell off, and this year was the no more middling team. But I still think that's not quite true, just for the sheer fact Tua was hurt for like the whole middle of the year. So they could have won a few more games. Maybe they'd actually be in the hunt still. But that's it for them. I think next year they'll be better, but I think eventually, I think in the next 2 years, they're gonna have that real breaking point of either they fucked
Hmm.
up with these extensions or they really hit and their teams are gonna go. Because I've always been a stern believer that you can't be mid for too long. Eventually, either the wheels are gonna go or they're gonna completely fall off. Like the Patriots, they were mid for a couple years, then they finally fell off. Some other teams,
Hmm.
the Chiefs, they were kind of mid, a little slightly above mid, but they were around mid before Mahomes. Then Mahomes goes in for Alex Smith, and then boom, they take off. So I think there's only so much time you can be mid before something's got to change.
Same with the Jaguars. I feel like they were mid for a while, and then they just went downhill this season.
That's actually so true. That's actually a great example. They really have been like a mid playoff team, and then finally the wheels have fallen off. Which, speaking of them, ETN, I know we didn't really talk about this beforehand, but ETN
Hmm.
kind of has put in a couple good showings recently. They did pick
True.
up the 5th year option um, during the offseason. Do you think the Jaguars will be able to find their way next year when Trevor Lawrence is back healthy? They don't rock and Mac Jones. Another year, Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas has been a stud this year. Do you think they'll bounce
Ryan
back, or do you
Thomas
think they're gonna,
Jr.
yes, or do you think they're gonna kind of sit in this below average state for a couple years and are gonna have to completely rebuild it back up?
I mean, it's tough seeing how mid and like below mid they did this season,
Yeah, their line
but
has
that
been
was
bad. Their O line has
like
been horrendous.
that wasn't helpful, and then I don't really have faith in Shad Khan
That's true.
either.
I mean, he said
And
going into the year, this is the best team he's ever had, and they're about to
yeah,
win like 6 games, 5 games.
yeah. I mean, I still think they're like pretty much the same team they've been,
Yeah,
and I still think they have the potential to still do as well as they can and get themselves into a playoff spot. But I don't know. I see Trevor Lawrence coming back, Travis Etienne. If he does go back to his usual form, then I see them actually picking it up again, and their defense is good enough to where they'll be good competition in their division and then the AFC as a whole.
yeah.